But if you're going to make the World War II US military more diverse, why don't you do the same with the Germans? Just take a look at the people of modern day Germany. Welcome to History Legends, and in this video I'll do a step-by-step analysis of the latest trailer of Call of Duty Vanguard. I have no idea what to expect, all I know is that there are a lot of dislikes on the trailer. And apparently the game is not about historical World War II, but alternate history. I have no idea what that means, let's take a look. As always, before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my brand new Patreon. Check out my unique Veterans book, is now on Amazon with tons of actual World War II stories and all types of amazing history merch, link in the bio. What could that be?
The whole world is burning.
Alright. Right off the bat, now I think I understand what they meant by alternate history. I hope I'm wrong, but let's keep watching. Wait, I don't get it. And American troops fighting side by side with Soviets. I'm very confused, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's a world where you have Americans and Soviets fighting side by side, or they created an entire new story. Could be interesting, actually.
More fire.
Oh my god, you just can't escape it. Evil Germans, all the time. Whether it's in movies, video games, World War I, World War II, always the same BS. And Germans are not only the bad guys, they're evil. Right off the bat, I don't think in this Call of Duty there'll be a mission where you play the Germans. I think. Now they're talking about alternate history. What about an Axis-focused Call of Duty? You'd obviously play as the Germans, but also the Italians, Hungarians, Vichy French, Romanians, the Finns. Nobody covers the Finns. The Spanish Blue Division. You literally have so many options, so many untold stories. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like a game like that. You could even perhaps add the Japanese, but with a rising Chinese market, I don't think that this option would be welcomed. Okay. This is interesting. Okay, so we have a massive bomber formation. In my opinion, it has to be either British or American. But the thing is, there is an Orthodox church right there, so it takes place in Eastern Europe. I see two options here. Either they're going super deep in alternate history, where you have the British and the Americans fighting on the Eastern Front with the Soviets, which could explain the first scene with the train. Or it could be, for example, a bomber raid over Romania, because Romania is majority Orthodox, could explain the church. Could be a mission like that to bomb the German oil fields, since the Germans controlled a lot of oil fields in Romania, especially Ploiești, and it was a super deadly bombing raid. That could be interesting. Okay, one thing I noticed is, check this out. The bombers are flying way too low. If you look at footage or pictures from World War II, you notice how bombers are not right above buildings. They're actually pretty high in the air. And after a quick search, correct me if I'm wrong, but most World War II bombers, at least for the Allies, flew between 20,000 and 20,000 feet from the ground, or the equivalent of 55 American football fields. Oh. Not gonna lie, this part looks sick. You have dogfights, you have aircraft carriers, you have bombers, everything for an epic experience. The only question is, how are they going to include this in the multiplayer? Knowing Call of Duty, it will probably end up with a tiny map on an aircraft carrier, no aircraft, just multiplayer 12v12. But to get back at this scene, because of the jungle, there are many options where this could take place in the Pacific. Obviously, my first thought is the Battle of Midway, but because of the jungle here, it could actually be in New Guinea during the 1942 Battle of the Coral Sea, or even during the 1944 Battle of Leyte in the Philippines. And I really hope the game picks a unique battle that people have not heard about yet. Oh, okay, this is a British Crusader tank. Oh, and this one is a Panzer IV. Oh no, not here. Okay, I got it. This is a Panzer IV, or rather a Panzer Mark IV Ausführung G, aka Panzer IV Model G. Okay, pretty interesting aspect about the North African campaign. Now we know the Panzer IV Model G was often used by the Afrika Korps. We also know its production ran from March 1942 to June 1943. So the game will most likely cover either the Second Battle of El Alamein of 1942, or if the original and they want to create something new, the 1943 Tunisian campaign. If it's El Alamein, I'm not too optimistic about their portrayal of the battle. It already seems like a massive, messy pitched battle when the North African campaign was still static with attack versus defense. But I hope in the actual campaign taking place in North Africa, we'll see massive minefields, fortified positions with barbed wire, and tons of anti-tank guns. Because most British tank losses actually occurred because of German anti-tank cannons. But honestly, I doubt that they'll go towards this direction. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel their definition of the Battle of El Alamein will be British tanks obliterating tons of German tanks. The other thing I noticed is how Italian forces are nowhere to be seen when they represented half the strength of the Afrika Korps. It's sad because in previous games like the Big Red One, the American troops actually faced German allies like Vichy France, the Italians in Sicily. It was interesting, but this game seems to be focused like the entire planet against the Germans. The evil Germans. It's the same thing in every damn Call of Duty. The Eastern Front always has the mandatory sniper mission. Now Call of Duty Vanguard wanted to be super different, but at this point, I'm so disappointed. They're literally recycling the same old missions from previous Call of Duties. So if my assessment is correct, and we know that Vanguard will be recycling previous missions, and that we have a female Soviet sniper, this mission probably takes place in Stalingrad. And that would mean that the bombers we just saw were not American, but German. And yes, if I think about it, the Germans did bomb Stalingrad. And that also explains why the posters on the walls were written in Russian. Now, on a side note, at Stalingrad, the Germans used medium bombers like the Heinkel HE-111. So I believe that's why COD made them fly super low. But in reality, they still flew at about 20,000 feet. And this scene, where the Germans execute civilians, is literally straight out of Stalingrad, the 2013 Russian movie. The game developers picked the worst movies as inspiration. I don't get it. Oh, Normandy. What? Oh my god. This is literally a copy of a 2018 movie called Overlord with an African American paratrooper on D-Day. The same thing again. I hope now you see why I react to movies. Every time I get comments of people like, oh, it's just a movie, go watch a documentary. You have to understand that movies are such a powerful medium of information for pop culture. Crappy historical movies influence video games, which then influence you. But if the game took inspiration from Overlord, does it mean that at one point in the game, all the German soldiers all transform into zombies?
I'd trade you all for this.
Wait, I hope I'm wrong, but don't tell me they'll clear D-Day beach bunkers with paratroopers. But I can sense that in this mission, this is what's going to happen. The paratroopers will make their way to Omaha Beach and will save the day. But on a more positive note, at least we're not getting another Saving Private Ryan rehearsal and we can focus on the airborne operations of D-Day. Because honestly, this really looks like a coastal battery or bunker right next to the beach and not a fortified position back inland that paratroopers would actually be attacking. Honestly, it's pretty lame. I'm disappointed. At least in Battlefield 2042, the guy destroyed the aircraft using a rocket launcher. Okay, but here we actually stopped at an interesting scene. Now, if we take a closer look, we have Japanese bunkers inside the mountain firing at Sherman tanks. Now, in reality, a lot of Sherman tanks in the Pacific were actually flamethrowers. So I hope we can see this in this mission as well. Now, since we have impressive Japanese fortifications, lots of Sherman tanks, a sort of rainy weather, I believe this mission will take place on Okinawa. The overall feel is pretty decent, although I can already notice some things that are very wrong. Like the X-shape anti-tank defenses that the Germans used on D-Day, but that the Japanese did not have. And at the same time, we also get Sherman tanks advancing with infantry right behind, just like in Fury. And if you're an OG, you know how much I love Fury. They seem to be just going for frontal assault. There's no tactics. I don't see any American mortars or machine guns. We'll see.
This is the theater of war, Martha.
Oh, wait. Why are they not wearing helmets? I dare you to show me a picture of American soldiers fighting in the Pacific without their helmet and just a silly cap. At least previous games, like World at War, tried to stick to actual events.
There's no curtain call for parade. Parade music comes after. No, you mind about it.
I left a note because I remember watching this part. None of them have helmets here. I don't know why they did that. It's pretty silly. The Japanese. Wait. Okay, you have a random Japanese aircraft at Okinawa. That did not happen. By 1945, the Americans had full control of the sky. That plane should have been an American aircraft. But there's another thing. If you backtrack a bit, right here you can see an African American soldier fighting on the front line. And fighting side by side with a white guy. As you can imagine, this is not historically accurate. But now to get away with it, Sledgehammer said they're doing alt history, aka more woke. What I feel is that they copied modern US demographics and pasted it in a World War II setting. But if you're going to make the World War II US military more diverse, why don't you do the same with the Germans? Just take a look at the people of modern day Germany. Why not have a big bearded Turkish German tank commander? Or a Vietnamese MG42 crew? Or an Iranian German sniper? Alright, the Germans have to remain an evil army of white males. Okay, so now it pretty much confirms that it's midway from my assessment because this scene is literally out of the movie midway. So yeah, Vanguard copied Stalingrad, they copied Overlord. I won't be surprised if they copied Midway, so Midway. But honestly, in a way it's cool. You can have interesting dogfights, and I don't think that any previous Call of Duty covered destroying aircraft carriers. But again, I have no idea how this will play out in multiplayer. Oh, as you know, this is a typical Dutch windmill, so they'll find a way to make a mission about the airborne operations of Market Garden, in my opinion. I know that the game Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway covered that topic before. Let's see who does it better. I think I know the answer, but I'll give Call of Duty the benefit of the doubt. No way. Okay, they really went ham with the woke stuff. Now you have an Afro-British paratrooper. Let's just make shit up and ignore the hundreds of Polish paratroopers that sacrifice themselves to help the encircled British at Arnhem. Like, World War II is already one of the most diverse conflicts in history. You don't need to add more to it. And if diversity is so important for your game, why not cover the story of the 2.5 million Indian soldiers, or the 14 million Chinese soldiers, or the multi-ethnic Free French Army, or the King's African Rifles? There were so many options rooted in historical facts, but you prefer to make shit up. It makes me mad. And the other thing is that we see a destroyed German tank in the background. I hope it's not a mission of just British paratroopers obliterating a Panzer division, because in historical facts it's literally the opposite that happened. Oh, hold on. The guy has goggles. Tank man goggles. Maybe he's a tank crew. Hold on, that changes everything. Let me check. Okay, it's so weird. I have it right here. He has the beret of a British paratrooper, but the goggles of a tank commander. Okay, if you know, let me know what that means because I'm pretty confused.
Whatever we do it together.
Honestly, this part looks the best. I think the best mission will be the Normandy airdrops. So from what we saw, Call of Duty Vanguard took its inspiration from recent World War II movies like Midway, Stalingrad, Overlord, maybe even Fury, but it completely ignores significantly better movies like The Unknown Soldier, 1944, The King's Choice, Dunkirk, or Greyhound. It's as if they purposely picked the worst movies. And of course, it's going to reflect in the campaign. Other than that, we got a glimpse of the campaign. In my opinion, it'll start with Stalingrad, then El Alamein, Midway, the airdrop of Normandy, and lastly, Operation Market Garden. Thing is, we've seen these over and over. Honestly, when I heard about alternate history, I imagined something like The Man in the High Castle. Like, for example, the Germans are invading the British Isles, and then you have the British resistance, or an American amphibious assault of Ireland, something crazy like that. Or you could have this thing set up in 1945, right at the end of World War II and at the beginning of the Cold War, and tell the untold and forgotten battles between the Western Allies and the Soviets all over the world. But then they just took the easy route and just sprinkled some diversity. If you want some real diversity, just check out my book. There's almost every country that fought during World War II represented in here with first-hand account veteran stories. Other than that, we can clearly see there is a massive lack of imagination for Call of Duty Vanguard, and I don't expect anything crazy in regards to this game. But now you tell me, are you excited about the game? Comment it below.